Welcome to the Future of Online Business series and the specific 2026 forecast for you as a manifestor. So in episode 2 of this series, we covered the 5 business themes for 2026, which are really being informed by the 2026 astrological transits. We had humanness, relational business, hyper personalization, visibility reimagined, and self-trust and nervous system capacity. So if you haven't listened to that episode yet, highly recommend going back and listening first, because it's a much more robust deep dive into all of those themes, which are really informing the conversation that we're having here together today for you as a manifestor. And the episode before that covers the major transits for the year. And even if you are not super into astrology, or maybe it's really new to you, I do think that this is a really unprecedented time, with all of the outer planets, all of the generational planets moving in such a short period of time. This is the kind of thing that will actually change the way that we run our businesses, right? That's what happens. And that's the influence of the generational planet. So I think it's really helpful to understand the energetic texture, of 2026. It will really, really support you in your business. So make sure that you listen to those 2 episodes first. But today is all about what this means for you as a manifestor. I'm so excited about all the manifestors that have been stepping into my community and just the relationships that I've been building with manifestors recently. We had, how many manifestors? We had 3 manifestors in our last cohort of CCBD, which is actually really cool because you are 7 to 9% of the population. So it's really cool that I'm just building so many more relationships with manifestors. And yeah, I think at the same time, if you're watching this, listening to this, there's a good chance that you've spent most of your life feeling like the odd one out, you are a small percentage of the population. And so the way that you operate is not probably going to match the way that everyone else is doing things. And it doesn't. And that's kind of the whole point. Right? So let's do a really quick and dirty snapshot of what each major transit is asking of you as a manifestor this year. I haven't said this in the other episodes, but I really feel like the transits were totally made for manifestors this year. Yeah, totally made for manifestors. Let's go through them. So we have Neptune moving into Aries. This is really your element because Neptune moving into Aries is activating that initiator energy. Neptune is, it's spirituality, it's our psychic, receptivity, it's creativity, and Aries is all about me. It's all about it's courage, it's leadership, right? So it's activating that initiator energy, the part of you that knows before you can explain why the part of you that's I just have to do this thing, right? And so the work here is, I think, really trusting that. Without needing external validation before you act on it. I think that one of the things that I see a lot with the manifestor clients that I've worked with over the last, coaching for almost a decade, but 5-6 years of bringing in more human design into my work, is that there can be a lot of conditioning around initiation, right? Because for many manifestors, some of the things that they've been told over the course of their life is, why do you always have something to say? And why are you so loud? And why are you always doing this? And why are you so different? You know what I mean? So I think that this is a year where you are building that self-trust back into the work that you're doing, which I think is actually so exciting. And alongside that, we also have Saturn moving into Aries, which is really about the structure that is going to support your creative births without constraining them, right? Saturn, yes, is restrictive. Saturn is maturity and discipline and persistence, but it's not asking you to be structured like a generator or asking you to be consistent in the way that generators are. It's asking you to build something that holds what you create during your on periods, right? And your off periods. So it doesn't disappear when you're in that burst rest cycle, right? And then we have these 2 planets coming together. We have Saturn conjunct Neptune at 0 degrees of Aries, which some say hasn't happened for 6,000 to 9,000 years, right? It's so significant. This is such new beginning energy. And I think that this is also such embodiment energy. I think people are making decisions based on a lot of trust and really, really valuing embodiment. And I think that people can feel the difference for all the types, but, for you as a manifestor, for whether you're operating in your full power or whether maybe you've been it may not necessarily be that they're witnessing you dim yourself or naming that, but it's there's just not the same energy, right? Because you are here to have that catalyzing energy for people. And this transit, I think, is really going to illuminate where maybe you've been making yourself smaller or more palatable, you know, not to mention with Uranus in Gemini and Jupiter into Leo, like this year is really going to reward people who are ready to stop apologizing for the bigness of what comes through. I think with Uranus in Gemini, this is really about your revolutionary ideas. Like this is like if there's ever been the conditions to be like, say whatever the fuck you want and like do things in a really unique way, like not say whatever you want in a negative way. This is the time to think outside the box. Like this is the time to be like, what if I didn't have to be on social media to run my business? What if I did everything in person? What if, right? Those real like moonshot questions, like this is the year for that. And so this transit is liberating you from all the rules about what you think you should say and how you should say it. You know, like this is about speaking the truth that wants to come through you, even when others like maybe aren't ready to hear it, right? And Jupiter in Leo is going to be supporting that. This is your year to let your vision be visible. You know, this is not a year for the edited down, palatable version, the real thing. I had a beautiful Manifestor client in this recent round of CCBD, and she had a lot of Scorpio energy. And the biggest conversation that we had, and she's also a Manifestor, was like, you know, she started to realize like my gift is actually in my intensity and my gift is in the depth. And I think I'm realizing how, you know, that's something that I have dimmed down and I've been really afraid for people to witness. And she's like, I know that that's not for everyone. And at the same time, like that's my permission for people to see more of that. And it just completely shifted her content. Man, like she's just there. It was really cool seeing, like, it's always good to see clients' results, but I think the way that she was creating those results and like letting herself be seen in that way was really cool. And we did a lot of the like nervous system, you know, embodiment work alongside that as well in terms of like helping her to feel safe with that. But yeah, Jupiter in Leo is saying like other people's discomfort is not your problem. If there is any truer statement for a manifestor. And then of course we have the North Node moving into Aquarius and therefore the South Node moving into Leo. So you're initiating energy, you know, like you're here to initiate us into new beginnings. Aquarius is about the future, right? You're here to start things that maybe other people don't quite get yet. And the question is whether you're actually doing that, right? Or playing it safe because it feels less disruptive, less confronting, you know? Like I think that's really the work for you this year is really working on creating that safety. And I think this is one of the things that I spoke about in the last episode, going through the 5 business themes too, that I think visibility is really becoming reimagined, that it's not about perfection. You know, it's about the messy, raw, real humanity. And I think that will make it a lot easier for us to show up to. But that's all in the previous episode. But I really want to ask you something. As a manifestor. When was the last time something came through? So an idea, a direction, an inner knowing, and you just fucking went for it. You went for it without polling your audience first, without checking with someone else if it was the right strategy, without making it smaller so that it would be more palatable, without testing it first. Like when was the last time you trusted the bigness of what you're here to do? Because what I see with a lot of the manifestors that I've worked with is like you've got this incredible capacity to initiate. You see something nobody else sees yet, and you're kind of here to just go. Like that's your design. That's what you're here for. But like somewhere along the way, probably very early on, like pre-business, you learn that going first makes people really uncomfortable. That your intensity is just like too much. You know, that you should check in, get buy-in first, make sure everyone's okay with what you're about to do before you do it. And I think obviously informing is part of your strategy. I'm not saying that that's not important, but there's a difference between informing and like seeking permission. Like informing is not seeking permission. Informing is not, hey, what do you think about this? Informing is, hey, this is what I'm doing. Wanted to let you know because you're going to be impacted by this, right? And so I see incredible manifestors dim themselves, soften their message, like hold back the way they actually want to show up, running their ideas past 5 people before they act on them, and like kind of building a business that looks like everyone else's because at least that feels safe. But then you wonder why you're fucking angry. And I think the biggest evolution for a manifestor is not necessarily about the business strategy. It's interesting because in every single episode that I've done for types, like for projectors, I think the business strategy and that ecosystem is incredibly important. I think for you, the work is like getting comfortable being misunderstood. Like not everyone is going to get it. Not everyone is going to understand what you're doing or why. And that has to be okay, because the alternative, making yourself smaller so that everyone gets it, is the thing that is like crushing your business and your goals and your vision and your energy, right? It's a waste of your precious energy as a non-sacral. Like, your energy is here to initiate. And if all of your energy is being used up checking and squashing the life force, it's going to be really hard to initiate. And you'll feel exhaustion and tiredness, not because you're doing aligned work, but because your life force is being used in a way that doesn't make sense for you, right? And I think what has to be accepted by manifestors too is that when you continue to share and you keep kind of showing up, not from this place of like show up every day like a generator or, you know, I'm not saying that. I just mean like you're continuing to share the thing that you're genuinely passionate about, people will start to get it. Not everyone, but that's the case with all of us. But the right ones, the ones who are waiting for someone to say the thing that they've been thinking the whole time. And I think that sometimes, because there is this conversation for manifestors around initiating, there's almost this expectation that it's like, I'm meant to initiate us into like this whole new way of doing things and revolutionize things. And like, I should just say it and everyone will just like, bang, they'll get it. And it's not like that, right? There actually is a lot of like education alongside this too. You know, you have to also be willing to persist, not in the like traditional sense of like, be consistent and do the same thing every day. Like that's not what I'm talking about, but Saturn, right? Persistence and discipline and like fighting for what you want. Like Saturn in Aries is like, what am I willing to fucking fight for? Especially when it gets hard, right? And your closed aura, like that manifestor, like all of the types have an aura, and your aura is actually closed, right? It's a repelling aura, not because you like, it sounds like a very negative word, but the reason why that it exists for you is that like it's protecting your creative process. It's the thing that allows you to initiate from a clean place instead of from everyone else's opinions and projections. So the work isn't to open up and be more accessible. The work is to trust that the closed aura is like doing the job, and to let things and people and offers and relationships and habits fall away that are messing with that don't need to be there. And I want to tell you more about my client I've been talking about. She's a 4-1 manifestor. How lucky am I working with the 4-1 manifestor? And watching her move through CCBD like was genuinely one of like the highlights of this cohort for me. And when she came in, like all of the ingredients were all there, like her expertise, the passion, the vision, all of it. But there was this thing that I think happens with a lot of manifestors, which is like, I think she knew deep down what her gifts were deep down, but she hadn't fully given herself permission to let them free. And what we worked through together and what I witnessed over the course of 12 weeks was this like real deepening of self-trust that just happened a little bit more each week by week. Every call, there'd be an update like, oh, here's something else I've been doing and it feels really good, and just trying new things and seeing how they landed and being willing to put something out there without knowing if it would work. And that willingness, that like courage to just really go for it and see what happens, like that's so manifestor. But I think it's one that a lot of manifestors have like learned to suppress because like it's uncomfortable. And I think that's that's what I mean when I say like the work for a manifestor is accepting that like you will make people uncomfortable. You're the kind of energy that people feel when you walk into a room and people are like, ooh, don't know about that. That feels interesting, right? And during our closing ceremony, we did a visualization, and what came through for this particular client was this message that was along the lines of like, you are privy to the bigger picture, so act like it, right? Because like as a manifestor, you're here to take us into that next era. And I think that landed so powerfully because it named the things she already knew but hadn't been acting on, that she does see things that other people don't, that her instinct to go first is the gift, and that playing it safe, comparing herself to everyone else, like doing what everyone else is doing, that's the thing that's been holding her back. And she shared something that really like stuck with me a lot too. Like she said that she felt really empowered, you know, and not in this like cheerleader, like rah, 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 you can do it kind of way, but she felt so empowered like in our work together, which felt really, you know, I'm a Cancerian and this is like a really core value of mine. And in my work is I just want to create the safety for people to feel seen and to see themselves in that too. And I think that through that, she felt seen and accepted in all of her intensity, that Scorpio energy. And I think that that's what manifestors need more than anything. Like, not someone telling them what to do, but someone reflecting back that who they are is enough. Who is that for you? Are you in spaces where you feel that? Or are you in spaces where you feel like your too muchness is a problem for other people? Right? I think that's really important for you to contemplate. I also want to bring your awareness to your burst rest cycle. That's not going away. So your business needs to be built for that, right? So you need systems that hold things during your rest periods, right? So a nurture sequence that's building trust while you're offline, a clear pathway to your main offer. That's what we did with this particular manifestor client. She has an experience that she runs regularly throughout the year. And that's the thing that we've built, like building the relationship around, right? So there's a clear pathway for that offer so people know exactly what to do. So when she initiates that and she's like, right, we're running this again, it's 45 days, like this is what we're doing, it's clear for people, right? So her landing assets is kind of what I call them, like pinned post on Instagram, or like just basically like making that pathway really clear, website, highlights, whatever it is, it's all there. So you're not starting from scratch every time you come back with new energy. Like, you don't want to feel, because then there's risk associated with the rest, right? We want you to feel like nothing has stopped or like broken in that like rest cycle, because otherwise like it's going to be really challenging for you to continue to trust yourself to rest, right? And I see this a lot. Like, you have these really amazing bursts where you create something amazing and you put it out there with so much, passion and energy, and then you rest. And when you come back, it's like it never happened because there was no infrastructure to hold what you built, right? So it's really important, like whether that's one main offer positioned really clearly, a nurture process feeding into it. Maybe you have collaborations. This was a really big thing that I spoke about with this client. She's a 4-1, tapping into her existing network so that a lot of that marketing can be like accelerated and it's not necessarily coming from like her effort, I think is a really great strategy. But yeah, when you kind of structure it in this way, when a burst comes, like you can channel it into something that actually compounds instead of like it evaporating and feeling like, I can no longer rest again, right? I also wanted to really quickly touch on informing. This is the manifestor strategy and it matters. And I think that I highlighted this before, that informing is not asking for permission. It's not like, hey, is it okay if I do this thing? It's here's what I'm doing and you're going to be impacted. And so like, here's why I wanted to let you know. And I think you can do this in content, it's like bringing people along with your creative process, sharing what you're building, before it's finished, telling people what's coming, what's shifting, what you've decided, what you're contemplating, like not because you want their approval, but because informing is going to reduce resistance, and informing is going to start educating people on the movement that you are here to pioneer and lead. Because when you kind of disappear and then reappear and with something completely different and there's no context, you're not informing, like people do get confused. Right. And that's when you start to question the informing and your process, right? Not because the pivot was wrong or that the resting was wrong, but because maybe you didn't inform. And manifestors who inform really well, like they start to really build that kind of trust that really like helps you to survive every like reinvention, right? It's not about permission, but it is about, like making sure that people are being taken along for your journey too, right? Now, remember that you're not self-themed. The sign that things are not on track is anger, and I think that this is like with all this fire energy this year, like let it out, scream into a pillow. Like when anger shows up, it's telling you that maybe you are just, like being bothered by too many people, like your creative process isn't being supported. Maybe you haven't been informing. Maybe you've got people around you that are just trying to dim you. Maybe you've been asking for a lot of permission and feel like because of that process, you're then questioning the next thing that you should do. Like just notice where it shows up in your body. Don't try and like perform more patience or make yourself more palatable. Like scream into a pillow, ask those deep questions. Where am I shrinking? What am I holding back? What would I do if I stopped caring whether everyone understood it? Because like the answer to those questions is probably going to be your next move, right? So a practice for you, what I would love for you to do after this episode, think about the thing that you've been holding back on. Maybe it's the idea or the direction, the message, the one that feels a bit too big or maybe a bit too confronting or a bit too muchness, right? Write it down. You don't have to go and take the action like right in this moment, but write it down. right? Write it down just for you. What is the thing that you would say or create or initiate if doing this thing, like if there was just no consequences, right? If you weren't worried about being misunderstood, can we invite in the part of you that is unbothered by what other people think? Can we hear from her? What is her perspective on this thing? And then maybe this week, just share one piece of it. Maybe one post or one email or one conversation. Maybe it's just letting a friend know that this is something that you've written down. Maybe it's not actually doing something publicly yet. Something that reflects the actual thing you want to say, not the watered down version. And see what happens. See who responds. Notice how your body feels in this process. Because I promise you, the people who are meant to hear it, like they're waiting for you to say the thing, right? They're waiting for you to say the thing. Now, I have a free human design and business strategy guide specifically for you as a manifestor that I think would be really helpful for you. When you download the business strategy guide, there's actually 5 resources that get delivered over a couple of weeks via email. And I want to flag for you as a manifestor resource number 5, which is the complete guide to consistent conversions for you specifically. And it actually breaks down how to build a sales system that works with your burst rest cycle instead of really like requiring you to be on all the time. So it covers like, how to create during your burst in a way that compounds, how to structure things so your rest periods like are not costing you momentum. And so there's sales in there, content and offers as well. So it's a really great resource. That's resource number 5. There's also resource number 4 is the energy centers deep dive as well. And I think that this is going to be really important this year, actually understanding how your energy flows and where that conditioning lives. I think where it's creating noise for you and how that's impacting your energy, whether it's like being conflict avoidant and people pleasing, the undefined solar plexus, me too, like the urge to check in with everyone before you take action, like that may be something that is like really just being picked up from people around you and not even like your own sort of like energy. And so I think it's really important that you have awareness around that too. So I'll make sure all these links are in the show notes. And specifically as it relates to sales, I highly recommend Selling Soulfully. It's $37. It's got a specific training for you as a manifestor, and it's all about the sales ecosystem, right? So having that ecosystem in place is what really helps you turn your creative bursts into something really sustainable. And the brilliant thing is that you can design this in a way that's really supportive for you as a manifestor. It also takes into account your current season of business too. And if you want a space where we do this work together, where we can do the work like, my manifestor client that I've been sharing in this episode, where I can look at your chart, your business, your message, and really help you build that infrastructure around your initiating energy the way that we did with my client, that is Constantly Converting by Design. It's where we build businesses that love you back. We run this twice a year, and I'm really excited about our next cohort. So we open enrollment first to the waitlist on March 2nd, 2026. We do this in both of our bigger launches. We also have a couple of open cart periods throughout the year as well. So joining the waitlist is a really good thing to do. This is something that you are really interested in. Links for everything are below, but I would love to work with you in that space. And don't forget to come back for the embodiment practice, which will be episode 8 in this series, episode 311 on the All That Jazze podcast. I'm so excited about this. It's going to take you to the December 2026 version of you and really just take a look back at all these 2026 transits and contemplate the gifts that they have been for your life and business in 2026. So I'll see you there.